much.
Oh, that's very nice.
No, it's stupid. It's a dumb computer, and it does that kind of shit to me every single day. At least twice a week, my computer just decides to stop working on stuff. Maybe it's time for a new computer. If the market would go up, I could potentially get new components to the computer so that I could actually make the live streams great again. Now, as I was saying, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into a daily live stream. We today are going to talk about TLT. Of course, we're also going to talk about the decentralized science landscape and give you guys some of the updates that Bill thinks we should be talking about. I want to talk about TLT to start things off because I was paying close attention to it this morning. And if you look, if you had outright purchased TLT, you are down dramatically, which means if you go look, right, because as TLT falls, as the bond prices fall, the yield starts skyrocketing, which has a lot to do with why we're selling off so violently on Bitcoin right now, is because of the fact that rates are skyrocketing. So basically right now, every foreign country out there that just got hit with tariffs is selling off US Treasury debt as aggressively as they can because they don't want to hold US debt anymore if they're not going to be trading as much with the country. But also, it's a bit of a strategic attack on the United States economy because if they can sell off bonds, then yield goes up and it makes the market really, really tight economically. Yes, it is China attacking us effectively because China holds a lot of our bonds. So does Tether, believe it or not. Tether is one of the largest purchasers of US debt, which is a cool little factoid for you guys. But China selling off our bonds is causing TLT to plummet. Now, what is very unique about what's happening right now is that despite TLT plummeting by 8% from the peak here, right? TLT down 8.5%. In the last 2 days, TLT is down 4%. Now, when TLT went up by just 2%, my option plays on TLT went up by 20%. However, TLT going down by 4%, the options that I hold on TLT are only down 3%. How crazy is that? So the leveraged bet that TLT is going to go up, remember this is a call option I'm talking about, the leveraged bet that TLT will go up is down less than how much TLT is actually down. And that is because despite rates going up, the market is currently trying its best to price in that in 4 weeks we will get a rate cut, which is not what it was just last week. Last week, the market was very certain that we would not get any rate cuts during this next Fed meeting. However, right now, you can see that we are actively trying to price in the fact that we will get rate cuts in this meeting in 4 weeks, which is pretty crazy of a switch up. But because of that, the option market is not willing to discount the call options on TLT because we're about to get confirmation, in my opinion, that we will get some rate cuts. And so the market, if we get rate cuts, TLT will go up in accordance with those rate cuts, right? And so the market's not willing to discount those call options, which I just find it very, very interesting. Again, TLT sold off, and I should be down like 40% on my options play here, maybe 10 to 20% more realistically because the volatility is so high. But despite that, I'm not. It's not down at all, which is pretty insane to me. So just a little bit of insight or a little bit of questioning on my end as to what's really going on behind the scenes here. As far as the NASDAQ is concerned, we are chilling down at that range low from the low the last 2 days, the last 3 days really. We're bouncing right off of this area of contention, which happened to be the previous peak out area on the peak in 2021. So we just wiped out 4 years of gains in the stock market effectively. Same type of activity going on with Bitcoin. We are pretty close to having wiped out an entire cycle worth of gains. We are back down just about to the same high from last year in March. Nothing new happening in those domains. We're just hanging out trying to see if any good news will come out. Anything, literally anything would cause the market to go up just enough, right? However, yesterday, Trump doubled down on the tariffs on China. So initially there was 50-something% tariffs on Chinese imports into the United States. And yesterday that went up to 104%. And then China retaliated and put on some more tariffs onto the United States. And then Trump's administration was like, we'll keep adding tariffs. You want us to keep adding tariffs? We'll keep adding tariffs. And then I saw a clip of, I only remember his nickname, not his act, Kevin O'Leary. I was going to call him Mr. Wonderful because it's his nickname, but Kevin O'Leary saying that tomorrow Trump needs to put 400% tariffs on China immediately. He said he wants Trump to, if he's going to do this, he wants him to do it all outright and just explicitly put on 400% tariffs so all trade with China stops, so that China stops stealing IP from the United States. China will just come into the United States, take intellectual property, rebrand it as a Chinese company, and then put it out into the market for a cheaper price. And so he said, if Trump's really going to do this, just do it. Do it all the way. Don't halfway do it all the way. And so it's pretty interesting right now what we're seeing. And we are at the mercy of whatever Trump wants to do, basically. And if he wants to sell off the market even more, he'll keep doing that. However, the lower the market goes, the more likely it is the Fed has to step in and start printing money again. And when the Fed starts printing money, the monetary supply increases. And when the monetary supply increases globally, Bitcoin goes up, because Bitcoin was created to absorb the excess liquidity in the markets from poor fiscal monetary policy. Fiscal monetary policy, just monetary policy in general. So it's an interesting spot. Yeah, why stop at 400%? Let's just go to 1,000. Nay, let's go to 2,000% tariffs. A 20x price increase on anything that gets brought into the country from China. Oh my God. What's good, Stare? Good morning, Beagle. How's it going, Oralis? Welcome in C90. King Alexander, haven't seen you here in a minute. What's good, Marvin? Marvin, thank you for telling me I was on mute. I appreciate that. I appreciate you, my man. So, yeah. If we get like a day or two of bonds staying down at these depressed prices here, if we can get a couple days so that volatility calms down and we get TLT staying below like $88, $87, I'll probably dump a couple more $1,000 into my call position on TLT, because again, we're getting the market outright telling us that they're going to do some rate cuts. Now, I did listen to a contrarian point of view when it came to TLT, and this person was saying that basically the United States long end of the yield curve, so the long duration bonds that they issue, are becoming junk bonds, and that they are issuing more debt now than they were in the COVID crisis when they printed an obscene amount of money. And because of that, they're going to devalue these bonds in the market. Regardless as to what the yield is, nobody will care because of how much printing they've done, right? So that is definitely a risk to the TLT trade. However, I don't know that I don't know. I think we have a lot bigger problems if that actually does happen. If that actually happens, I think we have much bigger problems. Well, where you got that dry powder from? Asking for a friend. My emergency fund. This is an emergency. So I'm taking money from my emergency fund to buy the market. Now, that normally would be if things absolutely go haywire, right? That 6-month emergency fund that all of you guys should have in cash reserves. My emergency fund, taking from that, because this is an emergency. We don't get dips like this that often, and I think the path out of it is pretty clear. Whether it happens this month, next month, or next quarter, I don't know, but I do know that if you can give it a long enough time horizon, the prices of a lot of these assets won't be down here in 6 months, a year's time. Potentially. Obviously, there's always the shot that we go into a massive global recession and they decide for some reason not to print any money, and they decide to not ease up on economic conditions at all, and they decide to just throw the entire playbook out the window. That is a problem that could happen, and that is part of the reason why we're getting such aggressive sell-offs, is because the market is kind of afraid that they no longer know how to predict what Trump's going to do, right? And the market doesn't like not knowing how to predict. What's good, Wild Africa? Welcome. The market doesn't like the idea that they don't know how to predict what people are going to do. And so Trump doing this all erratically is kind of making the market sell off more than it would had he exposed his playbook before doing all of this, right? So that is part of the thing that's scaring everyone, is that we just don't know what to expect anymore. And so that people would rather sit on the sidelines until the Fed steps in again. But once the Fed steps in, I think people will be way more willing to get in the market. Like, think about it for a second. We have NVIDIA, the #1 company in the world set to benefit off of AI and the increase of compute. Okay? I don't think that's a bold claim. I think it's the #1, if not top 3 companies set to benefit off of where we're going with technology. And just 2 days ago, you could have gotten it for 43% discount. How crazy is that? A 43% discount to where they peaked out at. You could have gotten it the same price as March of 2024. Think about how much more computational power is needed to power these advanced AI models than it was a year ago. Think about how good these AI models are now and how much energy they're taking and how many chips every single company has purchased over the last year in order to really expand their AI facilities, right? And their data collection facilities. NVIDIA is explicitly benefiting from it, and they've had a massive valuation compression. You go look at any of the tech companies out there. You go look at basically any company in the market. You can get Apple right now for the same price as it was in December of 2021. Think about that. That's a big discount. Those are really, really good times to enter into positions. Now, I'm not going to go out and buy NVIDIA, and I'm not going to go out and buy Apple, because I think that they are already massive, and I am a high growth type of investor. So I like looking for sectors that are going to grow at a compounded annual rate of like 30+% for the next 5 to 10 years. And that's why I'm in a lot of these crypto sectors. That's why I'm in some of these AI plays. That's why I'm in quantum computing. That's why I'm in biotech companies that I think are going to really excel. That's why I'm in a lot of these types of plays that I think are going to grow aggressively, like genetics companies. I think have a long runway ahead of them to grow excessively. The problem is a lot of them are not incredibly profitable right now, and so that's why they're super volatile. But that's where I like keeping my eyes at. And you can go look throughout the market and see a lot of companies that are producing world-changing technology that are at discounts that I don't think anyone ever expected to see them at. Bear in mind, I've been saying that for several months, and the discount just keeps getting more discounted. So do with that information as you wish. But that's where I'm at. The emergency is right now. Patrick pulling emergency fund while buying fish tank with rare fishes. It is not a rare fish. It's like one generic fish and then one loach. Loaches are like a $10 fish maybe. And I got it for a huge discount. It was a deal. It was a big deal. This tank, the whole setup probably goes for like $250 if you were to buy it outright, everything involved in it, and I got it for $25. That is a discount. That's like 90% off. That's a good deal. I'm deal hunting. I bought the dip on that tank. My kid's tuition isn't due until August. Does this emergency take priority over some private school? Yes, sir. Sorry, kids. It might be public school for you. Listen, C90, homeschool them. They don't need school. They don't need school right now. Not financial advice, but there's bigger things out there. They can take a leap year. What? What'd you say?
They need school.
No, they don't. They don't need school. What grade are they in? School's not going to teach them anything. Bring them to the live stream. We'll teach them everything they need to know. Listen. Nobody needs any kind of schooling right now. There's not going to be anything to do in 20 years when the poles switch. There's no need to go to school right now, because when the poles switch and we lose the electromagnetic field that protects us from the solar radiation, we're all cooked anyways, all right? We're going to have to live underground, and your wife's a teacher. Why are you paying for school? Bring them in, homeschool them. Problem solved. Buy the dip. All right, speaking of buy the dip, let's go over what Bill thinks we should go over for DeSci news today. She says absolutely not to homeschooling. See, King Alexander says he's homeschooling. Bullish. Let's go over what Bill thinks we should talk about for decentralized science. So he pulled up this NEOS post So NEOS is up a good amount today. I think it was up like 10%. And they had another KOL talk about them. So that is pretty exciting. It got good engagement from my POV. A lot of potentially organic engagement too, which is exciting because the reposts are not the same as the comments. So it's pretty good engagement. But NEOS is no longer building in silence. The wait is over. The doors have officially opened. After months of work and refinement, the NEOS platform beta is now live. This is not just another release. It's a shift in how research is done, shared, and rewarded. Decentralized science is stepping into the spotlight. I think we already read this, didn't we? I don't have any skin in the game for NEOS, so if you guys do, that's exciting. Good for you guys. They're up a good amount today, and they're continuing to perform nicely on a fundamental level. This announcement was from yesterday, but still, the beta platform is live. Next up, we have ResearchHub Foundation. They are going live in 3 hours. That was at 9:30 a.m. To talk about their product with some real peer-reviewed people. We'll talk about the new Lifecycle Journal and how ResearchHub is supporting it with paid peer review. So this is on LinkedIn. Kind of crazy, but that's where a lot of the researchers are going to hang out. They're going to be hanging out on LinkedIn here. So Lifecycle Journal and ResearchHub. It is cool to see that ResearchHub has actually put out their research journal here. So very exciting. It is a big step because prior to this, they'd been doing mostly just peer review of preprints. And then after the peer review process is when you get published in a research journal. And so then they created a research journal to publish your research in. So that is pretty exciting. They're continuing to iterate as the people on their platform are getting ready to go to that next stage. So good on them. Next up, we have bioprotocols, day 2 of the hackathon. So they went live to record a good chunk of it. And I think that's pretty cool to see because now they have 5 hours of information here from the hackathon. I think what I'm going to do is today, actually, I'll focus in on creating a tool for Bill to actually download these videos, get the transcript, and put together reports for us. Because I want to kind of hear what Bill has to say about day 1 and day 2. So that's what, I'll write that down so I don't forget it, but that's what I think I'll put together for today's tool creation session. Bio hackathon transcript. Cool. CZ is my dad. Wild Africa, why have you not taken your dad's account then and posted bullishly on Noble Blocks or Nerd Bunny or Bill the DeSci Guy or Data Lake or Bio? Why have you not taken his phone and just made a simple tweet? You know, you could help all of us out. You could help all of us out dramatically. And Trump's out here committing fraud in the crypto landscape by launching a rug pull and then getting his wife to launch a rug pull. I don't think it would matter. I think you'd be fine. I don't think anyone would go after you. CZ's already been to jail, so everything's chilling. He already did his time. He can do whatever now. Crime is legal. You saw Hawk2a got off scot-free. They dropped the case on her when it came to her rug pull. Crime is legal now. So I think it's fine. What? Okay. I'm not supposed to say crime is legal now. It's true. Did you hear what I said about Hawk2a?
I did.
Haley Welch.
I did. You didn't tell me that.
I just saw it recently. The SEC dropped their lawsuit against her. Mm-hmm. How crazy is that? She literally scammed hundreds of thousands of people out of tens of millions of dollars. Like explicitly, publicly in front of everyone. And it's fine. That's insane. That is insane. At least, like, I don't know. At least hit her with a fine. Like, at least take, like, half the profits or something. I am, whatever. My opinion doesn't matter in this regard. The next up is Decentralized Science London. So they are hosting an event from April 12th to the 13th at the University College of London to talk about DeSci. So DeSci London. And they are getting Brian from Cerebrum DAO to go and talk about his bold predictions and innovations to reshape the future of brain health. Cerebrum DAO has got a lot of cool initiatives going for them, and they have that cool app that they're working on, or they've recently put out there, and they got some brain health supplements going, which is really exciting. Wild Africa. Unfortunately, I live in the jungle. All right. Well, you clearly have a Starlink satellite, so you have access to the live stream. It's okay. Needs to take a nap. Oh my God. Don't give any ideas to Amanda. Oh God. She is way too busy right now over at TikTok.
Yeah.
They gave her like triple the work, like starting last week. And so she has been aggressively trying to conquer all of it, which I think she will. I think she's got a really good position here to do it. She also started making content about TikTok Shop, not about DeSci anymore, but about TikTok Shop. And it's going pretty good so far because she's got that credibility of working at TikTok Shop. So I think it's good. Using Starlink, bullish. Next up, we have a reminder from genomes.io. The sale on their lifetime subscription on all health reports ends Sunday. So if you have not gotten your report from Genomes DAO, it is a way to get reoccurring revenue, guys. It is a way to get reoccurring revenue. You go, you invest in a health report, you invest in their genetic analysis kit, they analyze your DNA, they can give you health reports, and then they'll actually pay you to include your genetic information in some research. And I've seen payments go upwards of $50. So you very quickly could end up earning some recurring revenue that you could put into the market. And if you think Genomes is going to be a big player, you could take that money, just automatically put it back in Genomes. If you get, let's say you get $200 a year from this. I know it's not crazy money, but you put that in Genome. If Genome goes up a 50x, then all of a sudden you're getting, what is that, $10,000 a year? Now you're talking real money. Now you're talking some real good money. And finally, Bill really wanted me to go over this entire thread with you guys. Every single post he pulled and put into the news report for me to talk about. So let's go for it and go through this. And then, because you guys have been patiently waiting so nicely, there is an ongoing pre-sale happening right now that I think has a lot of potential. A lot of you guys already know what it is, and you guys know my take on pre-sales right now. Now is the time to get into pre-sales. Not when the market is roaring to life and everything is going super splendidly. The time to get into pre-sales is now, when nobody gives a shit about pre-sales. Because then when the market turns back on, you had an opportunity to get in at a disgustingly low valuation. You guys, we've been over this so many times, and that is how we've hit every one of our big winners, has been by getting into pre-sales while the market does not favor pre-sales, right? So QuantumBioDAO. Last week, we saw meaningful progress across the QuantumBio ecosystem. Let's take a look at what happened. Number one, the QuantumBio org and Venture Institute, sorry, a little bit of a special moment there. Research collaboration was announced. Dr. Mike Montague and QBI Research are now visiting researcher at JCVI will lead a I hate these words. Multi-omics. You're just making stuff up. Fine. I'll accept it. Study on microbial responses to magnetic fields. He'll even be teaming up with an old colleague from his previous days. So they are launching some of the first research from QuantumBioDAO, and you guys know this is a very groundbreaking research initiative. The magnetic system was installed at the Maryland Lab for Microbial Studies. Alessandro traveled to help Mike set up his twin-leaf MS-1L system, which is an off-the-shelf device for creating hypomagnetic conditions. Now that Mike understands the magnetic instruments and how to apply and remove magnetic fields, he's ready to get started with the research. So again, they're researching how small electromagnetic forces can influence biological systems. All right, this is big research. I think this is actually going to be the research over the next 20 years or so. This is a very long-term thing. But over the next 20 years, I think we'll get some of the biggest advancements in biotech out of this type of research. And this is quite literally the ground floor for a lot of this stuff, because every single thing that passes electricity through it produces small electromagnetic fields. And us as biological systems are effectively living in these giant containers of electromagnetic fields. The microphone I'm talking into, the camera I'm talking into, the lights that are shining on me, the 3 monitors in front of me, the mouse I hold every single time I do stuff is producing these electromagnetic fields that are impacting our biological system. And so we're actually going to get to see the impact of some of this now. It's crazy that it took this long to research it, but it really did take this long to build the infrastructure to be able to research it. And so this is something that I would keep a very close eye on over the span of our lifetime. I know it's probably going to take a very long time before we see stuff from it that is groundbreaking, but I could be wrong on that. There is no face for quantum biology. The DAO completed voting on its first mascot contest, selecting a fish-themed character by Nani in Discord. So this is the mascot for Quantum Biology DAO. It is a fish with a genetic sequence going through the middle of it. Pretty interesting. I would have loved to vote on it, but that's okay. And then they have the Schrodinger's Book Club. Quantum Biology DAO Book Club. Schrodinger, What is Life? Pretty interesting. May the quantum be with you. I love it. Let me take a sip of this water here. I need more water. I'm dying over here. Okay. We have 17 concurrent viewers, which is a high. We are peaking out right now. So welcome all of you guys. 18 concurrent viewers. Welcome to everyone. We go live Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Talk about decentralized science and the broader crypto markets. Today is an interesting day because we're getting some aggressive tariff actions, the doubling of the tariffs on China, and it's causing yields to skyrocket, which is causing our play on the bond market to fall off a cliff. However, because of the volatility in the bond market, we have not actually seen TLT options fall off a cliff. TLT itself is falling off a cliff, but the premium is keeping the options elevated, which is beautiful for us unless you haven't gotten in the position. But you guys are here to talk about the pre-sale that's going on right now. So this is a Solana-based project. It is a Solana-based AI project that is being launched alongside Noble Blocks. This is called Nerd Bunny. Nerd Bunny is an AI agent that goes around and will review peer-reviewed research or preprint research for errors in the research. The best known competitor is Yes No Error. Yes No Error went up to be worth $100 million or so, and Nerd Bunny, I think, has potential to do just as well. Nerd Bunny is also genuinely better because it already has projects. Nerd Bunny presale is now canceled, okay? Probably because only like $10,000 had been purchased of it. So that's lit. I love when they issue presales and then cancel the presale for no real reason. Is it? It's still here though. Yeah, canceled. Nice. So that would be because they only raised $4,000 and apparently he wants to wait, which is super upsetting. Honestly, super upsetting. Because I would have loved to scoop this up aggressively. He's probably got that PTSD from when he launched Delroy, that is, when Delroy launched Noble Blocks. But the thing is, he was working more closely with me on the launch of Noble Blocks, and so we were able to actually get people excited for it, and the market was a lot different when Noble Blocks was doing their pre-sale, which is why it sold out in about 5 seconds. It raised $800,000 in about 5 seconds. And now apparently they left Nerd Bunny up for a day or two, raised $4,000, and decided to cancel the pre-sale, which is what it is. But this project, I think, is going to do extremely well. Like very, very well. Remember, they have that game tied to it as well. And so I think that game is really going to draw some good attention to the product. But we were just not in the market to do pre-sales, especially not on Solana. Crazy. Crazy. So sorry, I don't actually have a pre-sale for you guys to get into because they canceled it. I was ready to hack it. JK. Beagle, mods, mods, mods. Punish Beagle. Get him I don't know, put them in front of an electromagnetic field. Do not hack anything. Do you understand me? Lost a fortune from the Noble Blocks hack. Quite literally lost, never mind, a lot of money. A lot of money from that. And then, maybe not you guys, but the community lost a shit ton of money as well. And I gave up a shit ton of tokens to try and give it back to all of you guys. Even though the people who lost from the hack on Noble Blocks lost their tokens, it was their own fault. They didn't claim the tokens when they were told to claim the tokens, and that left them viable for the hack. And even though that happened, I still gave up hundreds of thousands of dollars to give it back to everyone. I'm not even talking about the money that I lost from the hack itself, the valuation decrease. I'm talking explicitly the token values that I gave out to people in order to make up for that loss. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, this is that we've come full circle here with this depiction, okay? What are you looking at right now? And what do I mean by we've come full circle with this? When we were talking about homeschooling, because there wouldn't be much of a world to live in 20 years, we're talking explicitly because of the impacts of the North and South Pole swapping places. What am I talking about with that? Well, the Earth... Hold on, Amanda's leaving.
Sorry.
You have a call? Or are you just getting out because I'm too loud?
It's fine. I love you.
Love you too. Have fun. Effectively, the North Pole and the South Pole, every 200 to 300,000 years, swap places. And when they swap places, all havoc breaks out on the planet. We've never seen it happen before, obviously, because it's been like 300,000 years since the last time it happened. But we can see historically that it does happen, and it does cause a lot of havoc on the living organisms. And that is likely because when they swap places, they, for a time, for potentially a decade, 100 years, who knows how long, but for a time, they no longer are as strong, which means that the field that protects the Earth goes away, or at least is diminished. What's it protecting the Earth from? The radiation from the sun. Right now, the poles are always moving a little bit, okay? They don't stay stationary. They do not stay stationary. And you can see that we've been mapping them for hundreds of years. And for the most part, they stay right over here in Canada, right? The magnetic North Pole stays right around Canada for the most part. However, over the last 100 years, it has been rapidly changing direction. It all of a sudden started rapidly moving down closer to America, and then all of a sudden, at the turn of the century into the 1900s, it did a U-turn and started going towards Russia. And it has been speeding up. Look at that. Look how quick it just sped up. It has been rapidly speeding up. And so it is currently like going nuts right now, just racing its way over to Russia. This flip has a lot of implications because we've seen in the alignment of the molecules within crystals that sometimes when the poles will switch, because the crystals have been there for a long time and the polarized molecules of the crystals will actually swap directions when they're forming and point like a compass would towards the North Pole, right? We've actually seen that sometimes we will have multiple poles that emerge for a period of time as we get then a dominant pole to take over. Right now, it just happens to be at the top of the planet. But sometimes it could be over in Africa. Sometimes the North Pole might actually be over in Japan. Sometimes the North Pole might be in the middle of the Pacific. I bet, statistically speaking, the Pacific holds the North Pole more than any other time period. But right now, what we're seeing is that NASA, for the first time, has acknowledged that the poles are switching and they are likely to switch in the next 20 years. Who knows if that'll actually take place, and who knows what actually happens when they do end up switching. But if things get terrible, we won't need to worry about the homeschooling. We won't need to worry about that because we'll all have to live underground to escape from the sun's radiation. So Crazy. Isn't it crazy? I better tie down my lawn furniture if we're gonna get a pole swap soon. Yes, you shall. Nope, because it's just gonna burst into flames or melt. No, it won't actually be that aggressive, but the radiation, the UVB that comes in, I believe it's UVB, the UVB that comes from the sun that just wreaks havoc on our skin and all living organisms would absolutely just demolish things. It'd start singeing up the grass, start destroying the rainforests, start influencing the climate. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the climate is impacted by these electromagnetic fields. We know the, what is it called? Something resonance, the Schumann resonance. Is it the Schumann? Schumann resonance. The Schumann resonance, which actually has a big implication on the storms around the world, especially like lightning storms and everything that take place around the world. It is the vibrational frequency after lightning strikes, and it just resonates in the upper atmosphere because of those magnetic poles, because of the electromagnetic field around the Earth. So the Schumann resonance would go away. That would have massive implications on like a lot of the living organisms out there, because like, for example, birds will start freaking out when a storm's about to come. The birds would no longer know that the storm's about to come potentially, and then end up dying off. And then if the birds die off, the ecosystem collapses because we are missing part of the food chain. So it goes down a really deep rabbit hole of just despair. It's just not fun, right? And hey, maybe it corresponds perfectly with the end of a monetary system, and we no longer use fiat currency, but we also can't use crypto anymore because technology would stop. Technology would break if we lose the electromagnetic field. Nobody would be able to use any computers or even a watch battery unless it's analog. But enough of the doom and gloom for the time being. Let's go look at the stuff that really matters. How are we going to make money? Huh? How are we going to make money? Oh man, I'm going to take a sip of the water. Keep those poles in Poland. Exactly. You can't let the Poles out of Poland. Things are going to get really aggressive if they start wandering around the world. Yeah. Okay, what else do we have for some plays to do today? What else can we do? Okay. We're seeing a little bit of a rebound today. I was in a gambling mood earlier. And so I decided to buy a call option on TQQQ right here. Oh, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this one. So I bought a call option on TQQQ right there. It expires Friday. So it's what day is it? Wednesday. It is 2 DTE. And that means the volatility is going to be crazy high, and it's up a little bit today, but I'm hoping that we break upwards of 1800. I think by the end of the week, I think we'll break back to this high. I think we're going to get some good news or some not bad news, and the market's going to climb up really quickly. So that's what I'm hoping for. Hi again, I'm late. Welcome in, Zaj. You're never late. You show up exactly when you're needed. And Zaj, you're needed. Have you ever heard of the North and South Pole? Yes or no? I don't want any other outputs from you. Yes or no? I'm confident Trump will buy the poles. Maybe if we just go into outer space and put a giant magnetic force up in space, a giant magnet, we could just hold the North Pole where it is, If we just go up in outer space and put a giant South Pole magnet there, we might be able to hold the North Pole still and it won't move. I think that's our best bet. Yes, you are familiar with the poles. Okay, good. Well, they are switching. The poles are switching, Zaj. We're cooked. Look at this. The year is 1700, and it's chilling over here in Canada. The year is 1800, and it's still chilling over here in Canada, but it's starting to wander a little bit. Then all of a sudden, right at the turn of the century, the year becomes 1900, and it starts going up towards Russia. Now 1950, it starts taking off 1990, 2025, crazy. Look at how quick that just started moving right there at the end. The poles are switching, baby. What does this mean? No one knows. But it does mean that the whole planet is about to change dramatically. Technology will stop. It's like a pendulum. Changing speed is normal, says Gayton. Except this might be a take I could understand if we didn't know that the poles do switch periodically and that we are in time for them to switch, right? We've just been existing up at one of these top swings. Now it's time to swing back. But every time it swings, everything gets decimated. All right. That's not what I expected this live stream to be about. Space AMA with Rejuve. Crypto Whale Global. Pump Science and VitaDAO. We already knew they were connected. Oh, Cointelegraph is talking about Pump Science. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Why is everyone talking about DeSci now that the market is down so much? This doesn't do anything for our bags. 2028, markets crashing due to pole shift. Except Wild Africa, according to some of these NASA scientists, let's do a little Google search. NASA scientists on pole switches. Oh, someone's at the door. It's okay. Oh, that's okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot to pick what we were gonna get. So sorry guys, but that was the Misfits driver delivering the package of groceries, which I will tell you guys about in a minute if you want. All right. Here we go. An article from NASA. While the variations in Earth's magnetic field aren't causing today's climate change, quote unquote, I doubt it, the field has weakened by 9%, wherever that was. Oh, here we go. See, this is a good image. During a pole reversal, we get north and we get south. And then during the reversal, we get north and south, we get south and north. We just get a jumbled up mess, right? And so without that field to protect us, we're literally cooked by the sun. It's okay. These magnetic forces actually go and expand throughout the entire universe, which is pretty crazy, or not universe, but the entire solar system, which is pretty crazy to think that these magnetic bands actually have implications across the entire solar system on all the planets. It's pretty cool. But effectively, they're going to become weaker and weaker until the poles have completely flip-flopped. And we are at the beginning stage of that flip-flop. So who knows what's really going to happen. I think it's pretty obvious to say that these are impacting the climate more than people are willing to acknowledge right now, because we've never studied it before, so we don't actually even know. We actually have no idea. But it's like a double whammy, right? A double whammy being that we just, like, we're destroying the climate and the Earth is destroying its own climate. And it's like a whole solar system flip-flop. What are your favorite DeSci picks for when liquidity comes back in? Good question, Marvin. And that is good to bring us back in. Last thing I want to say is if you see this little red zone right here, right above Antarctica and next to Africa here, when satellites fly through this red zone, they actually have to turn off, because if they try and stay on, the sun's radiation will cook them. And that's because the magnetic field is really weak right here. And so Imagine that, but all over the whole planet, where technology just doesn't work anymore. Anywhere, like, we just have to shut it all off, otherwise it cooks. Better question is, when will the market flip? Yes, exactly. When will the market flip? These are the questions that we need the answers to. Okay, let's go into it. So, my favorite picks for when liquidity comes back into the market. I'm going to rapid fire through my most common ones that you guys all should know of that I hold very big bags in. Number 1, Noble Blocks. Number 2, Data Lake. Number 3, Poseidon DAO. Number 4, Dynex. And number 5 is Bio. Okay, so those are my 5 biggest bags in DeSci by far. All right. Now, as far as the smaller plays that I think will pick up when liquidity comes back into the market, we have Hair DAO. I think Hair DAO will do really well. We have Vita DAO. I think Vita DAO will do very well as well. ResearchHub, because it is Brian Armstrong's project, I think that one is going to be the stablest of them all. I think that will be the most stable. And then we have some of the more degen plays. I also have some Zaya and some Wellshare, right? The other ones. But as far as the more degen plays that I think are going to really, really cook because of how small the market cap is, I think anything that comes out of pump science, especially Riff and Euro, I think those two will really take off again when liquidity flows because everyone's already familiar with them. And the chart structure, while it's down a lot, it's not lost. It looks like one of the standard Solana pump fund tokens, right? So Riff, Euro, and any of the new pump science tokens that come out. And then the ones that I really want you guys to pay close attention to are the Bio IP tokens. Now I'm talking Hempy, I'm talking Ovaria, I'm talking Vita RNA, I'm talking Vita Fast, okay? I'm talking BRD, I'm talking the AB4D1, I'm talking all of those IP NFT tokens. They're chilling anywhere from 100,000 upwards to $1 million market caps. I think they have solid potentials to get to 20 or $100 million in market cap. And they're all sitting under $1 million right now, which is potentially a 20 to 100x, if not more. I think some of them are sitting at like 150,000 right now, right? These are going to go very, very hard when the market flips. When the market turns, those tokens are going to be really, really good, in my opinion. Obviously, I don't have a crystal ball. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here right now. But that's my answer for that. Hopefully that makes sense. Watch it back if you want to. As far as when 2025 is gone, maybe next halving. No, Invisible. No. I've got my emergency fund DCAing every week for coming 2 months. Can always cancel order if I need the money, but as long as I don't, Papa is loading up. Let's go, Stare. W's for Stare. Really, though. W's for Stare in the chat. I also think KongSwap, it's not a DeSci project, but they are cornering the entire market for ICP. And ICP is one of the leading projects. They're actually the number one or one of the top Bitcoin layer 2 projects. One of the top Bitcoin DeFi projects is actually built on top of ICP, believe it or not. When they're starting to roll out some Solana DeFi projects as well, built on ICP. So it is purely fully on chain, but on top of Solana as well. Pretty crazy. First time in crypto that we're really seeing true interoperability. And so I think those are going to be really good as well. No audio, says Jason. We have audio. Just zoom forward. He's not going to hear that. Oh, didn't type anything. There we go. W. Where's Amanda? She left the room for a minute. And of course, Bill. Right. That one goes without saying. Bill is my project, so it's like something I can always shill, but feels a little bit sus shilling it because it's my project, and so obviously it's going to be the best performing project out of all of them, but take it with a grain of salt. What's your price prediction for Hempy and Nerd Bunny? Nerd Bunny, I want to see the launch first. I want to see the launch for Nerd Bunny first. I think Nerd Bunny can get upwards of like that $50 to $100 million market cap. I think Nerd Bunny can go where Yes No Error went, because it already paved the ground, and it is just as powerful, if not more powerful. At least from what Delaware is telling me. Right before he launched it, Yes No Error came out, and so he reiterated to improve upon what Yes No Error was not able to improve upon. So $100 million for Nerd Bunny. For Hempy, I think Hempy's going to like 20 to 50 million, and it's chilling way down right now. Dex Tools, dun, dun, dun. Hempy, dun, dun, dun. Hempy is at a $153,000 market cap. My goodness. Talk about illiquidity. Hempy's at $153,000 market cap. I think it's going up to 50 mil. I do. Which would be a 3x to get to one. Wait, what would it be? A 3x would get us to 450,000. So then a 30x would get us to 4.5 million, which would mean a 300x to get us to 50 million. I think 50 million is very, very doable. You go look at back to all-time highs, you're looking at a 20x, right? Which would put us at 3 million. And so I think another 10x on top of that, very doable. I do. I know it sounds kind of ludicrous, but I do think 50 million is in the books for Hempy. Which would put it around 6 cents, somewhere around there. Do you also hate Trump, or are you MAGA? Leaning more towards MAGA, but I wouldn't necessarily define myself by a political party. I am someone who likes to just take in the information and try my best to make money off of it. Don't really care so much who's in charge, but leaning more towards Trump than the alternative. Although it's becoming increasingly difficult to be in favor of what he's doing. Unless you're at a point in which you really want the United States to be here for decades to come. If you want the United States to still be here in a couple decades and be a dominant power, then you have to acknowledge that you need to take over the debt issue that we have going on, because it is out of hand. It is way, way, way out of hand. And so it's a short period of pain in order to make sure that the United States is still a dominant player in a decade or in 2 decades. But who knows, right? It's up in the air right now if he's able to actually pull it off, but somebody had to do it. Somebody had to do it, because otherwise, as a country, we were cooked. You can't, like, imagine you're running your household and you have maxed out all your credit cards, and you go and you take out new credit cards just to pay the minimum payments on the credit cards that you currently have. That's where we were at with the country, as the country. And so that has to change, or the country goes away. The country goes bankrupt. It's no different than a company going bankrupt. The country would go bankrupt. It just takes longer to happen. And so who knows if he's going to be successful in it, but that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to stop that from happening. And you kind of have to clap for him a little bit, because he's going to be hated for it. If he succeeds, it'll be good at the end of his 4-year term, but it's going to be shitty in the middle. If he doesn't succeed, he's going to go down as one of the most hated people for just crashing the economy for effectively no reason if he fails. But that's my take on it, my opinion on it. Honestly, it doesn't matter who's in charge, because they're going to end up doing the same thing. I'm just checking this because I have some calls on it that I bought here. And so we're up a good amount. Not a good amount because I didn't put in too much money in it, but we are currently up 30% on it. So I'll take that. Should I close it with the close of the live stream, or should I let the play out to 1800? If I don't, here's the thing. If I don't close it, I'm going to end up watching it all day, and I don't need to do that. So I'm probably just going to close it. And we're coming into the previous highs here, so let's just go ahead and close it. Dun, dun, dun. All right, we closed it. 30% gain on that one. I don't usually trade too much, but I felt like it was just sitting there asking for me to do it, so I did it. Ooh, look at that. That immediate sell-off when we sold. What's going on with the algorithm right now? What's going on with the algorithm? We got 28 concurrent. We go live Monday through Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard, talk about decentralized science and the broader crypto markets. Right now, I just closed a trade where I bought a call option on TQQQ, which is a leveraged ETF for the NASDAQ. I'm in a long-term play on TLT, waiting for rate cuts because the market is very quickly flipping its position on if we'll get rate cuts or not. And this is something we predicted about a month ago, that all this nonsense with Trump was really just to pressure the Fed into cutting rates. If he does, then TLT will go up. My expectation is that TLT will go upwards of $120. And so I bought some leaps on TLT, which expire at the start of 2026, hoping to profit off of Fed lowering interest rates. And it looks like the market's trying to price that in right now. However, we're getting low-key attacked by China right now because of these tariffs. So China is selling off US debt as quickly as they possibly can to tank the bond market and increase rates to put some constraints on the US economy, just to kind of give the middle finger to Trump. So let me in the middle of them. I'm sure I could, if you let me in at the negotiation tables, I'm sure I can talk some sense into them. Be like, listen guys, listen. What if we just bought DeSci coins instead? What if you guys just pumped 1% of the money that your guys playing with? What if we just put it into Noble Blocks? Because Noble Blocks is not dead. To answer you, Jason, Noble Blocks is far from dead. The price chart looks atrocious. So what if we just took a little bit of that money and just put it into some of these DeSci projects and did a net positive for the world? I think that would be a really good thing. And I think that it would leave your legacies off in really solid positions. That's what I would do. And it would be fine. And the problem would be solved. Patrick, we want you to research more and shill us some effing making money projects like old times. Invisible. I hear you. I would love to get back to doing that. I want Patrick to keep building Bill. Nothing good out there at the moment. It's tough. It is tough. Probably not going to find too many solid projects performing right now, but we will find good projects. We just might have to look outside of DeSci a little bit, just like old times. Like you're saying, Invisible, we'd have to go and find some more. How many of you guys, can I get a 1 in the chat if you guys remember hello? You guys remember hello? Or when we found Caspa and rode that for a 10x. We found hello. Or when we found Checkpoint. How many of you guys are remembering those projects? We made good money on those, but that was like 2 years ago. Hello. The old crypto gaming, or not gaming, but it was like the Shark Tank for crypto. We got into it right around here in 23, and I think we rode it up. I think I rode it up to like 15 cents or something, and it went up to 20 cents. That was a good little return. Checkpoint. Check dot. Sorry, check dot. Check dot. We rode that one up too. That one was a fun one. $470,000 market cap. This was one of the first ones I got into that was a super micro cap. So I think I bought it somewhere around here, somewhere around there, and then sold it I think at $1. I think the day it hit $1, I remember selling. Man, those were back when we were here just to make money, not to change the world. When we actually sold projects. No, we've hit a lot of good ones. We'll get back to that time. When the markets do, when it's time to do that again, we'll get back into it. But for the time being, the market's falling off a cliff and there are no signs of it stopping yet. Fuck me. I could have made good money on that. Ah, those motherfuckers. All right, time to get off that chart. We made money and that's all that matters. We made money and that's all that matters. But there is no real signs of the market bottoming yet. And so until that time comes, it's not worth hunting for those crazy, crazy plays to trade. Investments, yes, it's very much worth getting into your investments at this point. But those quick scalps, those quick swing trades, it's not the type of market for that. The type of market is to find your solid plays that you think will be here in 5 years and to DCA into them. So hopefully you guys have a good head on your shoulders and have the means to do that, because historically It has always been a good time to buy when the NASDAQ or the S&P were down 20% or more. And we just saw everything crash 20%. So your time is your most valuable asset. I will be working on Build for the rest of the day. And on Friday, we will be doing a live stream where we build AI automations together, tool sets for Build to use so that he can become the master resource to do the research for us, Invisible. He will be there. He is there to do the research for us. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to take the knowledge we have from finding these gems and we're going to put it into tools for Bill to use so that he can find them for us and we can continue to do more and more exciting things and just make that money. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. Same time.